I'll be honest with the listeners that serving at Anchor Point could be considered also a nightmare. Welcome to the Insiders, listeners. This is old Dazza McBroady in a top floor suite of Pure Surf camps in Morocco. So, surf travel tour. Matthew, good evening.
Good evening. I'm coming from the top floor hotel in Champagne, the world-known surf spot of Champagne.
Oh, oui.
So we are both doing this from locations that we're not normally in, but that is our dedication to the poddy.
I like the backdrop of your hotel room. Is that grapes that I'm looking at there?
I think it's poppies. I think they're grey poppies.
Oh,
Poppies.
opium poppies.
Yeah.
Get into a bit of that. And then a bit of champagne.
And your backdrop is a bit pointless to talk about on a podcast, but the back of your bed looks like a Kit Kat.
Probably because I had a dessert, is it? Or what is it?
No, like the brown
No.
bit looks like
Oh yeah, yes, it does.
Kit
It's
Kat
like a wooden
cladding.
bed piece. Incredibly exciting stuff. I'm surfed out, Matt. 5 hours today and 5 hours yesterday. The old rigs, a little bit on the old fatigue side.
That's solid. I wish I surfed out. I'm drived out. But tell us for the benefit of the listeners, whereabouts in Morocco are you?
I'm about halfway between Agadir and Taghazout. I noticed on a couple of English-speaking YouTube videos that I watched, they call it Taghazout
Yeah,
because it's spelled T-A-G. But in French, you don't pronounce the H, so it's Taghazout. And that's home to the famous Anchor Point,
yes.
Killers, many other spots. But Anchor Point's basically the pride of the jewel in the Moroccan crown.
Yeah. And how far are you from there?
Oh,
Like a good while.
10 minute drive.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
Right next to it. Saying that
Easy.
it's a jewel in the Moroccan crown, like honestly, you'd have to call it number two. You'd have to call Safi the right-hand freight train tube machine the number one. You'd be hard pressed to find someone to argue with me on that one.
Yeah. Safi's where Billy Kemper got in a lot of trouble, isn't it?
I think so. I can't remember if it's actually that way or another way, but Stubby's a few hours north of here, but it's a lot more protected. Needs a bigger swell
Mm.
than what I came down here for to start working. I think.
Yeah. But you're scoring obviously 5 hours yesterday, 5 hours today, so you're clearly getting some waves.
Yes, getting good waves. I think it's very important to be honest with the listeners that serving at Anchor Point could be considered also a nightmare. It's a pretty crowded spot. There's a heavily localized peak. We'll speak about that maybe a little bit later. Um, Basically, if you're not Moroccan, you're not getting a wave off the top of the point. Full stop.
Yeah. So have you been surfing anchors or have you been surfing other spots to get see
I
down?
surfed I surfed anchors yesterday morning and had a pretty good session. I actually surfed at 7.3 because I thought it was going to be bigger, and it wasn't. And I wanted a little bit of power because I'd only surfed like once in the previous 2 weeks because of the European storm activity. And I got really lucky because I come around the top of the point, and as I was still kind of in peak position before anyone would have said to me move, or the rip got me a good one come, and like less than 30 seconds before that, I saw Ramsey Bukayam, who I've known since he was like 13, 14, and he saw me and he kind of said, nodded hello, and I nodded back to him. And then this wave came nearly straight away, and I spun. I looked at him, and he just went go. And thanks, Ramsey, who probably won't listen, even though I'll try and get him to talk. And that was a pretty good wave, actually. And then you just had to kind of fight against the rip. And I probably wouldn't have got the waves I got if I wasn't on the longer board I was on.
Yeah. So you've travelled. How did you get there? Did you fly?
Direct from Bordeaux to Agadir.
And what boards have you taken?
7.3 Pipsy quad and a 6.5 Bradley twin.
Oh, nice. Nice coverage.
So then I surfed another spot twice today, which was kind of fun. And it was a bit windy. So maybe tomorrow's a good day. And I just
Yeah.
had the most massive dinner you can have. I don't know if anything can make you as hungry as surfing,
Nah, I don't think
apart
so.
from maybe like a cowabunga joint, which, I'm retired. But yeah,
Yeah,
that'll probably make you pretty. That'll make you just as hungry. But surfing's probably up there, and
100%.
swimming. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I haven't. I've not been able to surf for like what is it? Maybe 2 weeks now, a little bit over, maybe. And we was watching the news, and the weather came on the TV the other day, and they showed pictures of the storms, and they showed some pictures of waves, and I literally was just like mind surfing like these waves, and yeah, I'm as of as of recording this, I'm 2 days away from being able to surf, so um, it's not too bad now,
You'd be
but
looking forward to that. I'm telling you, if I was in France, I wouldn't be able to surf. We're just on the back end of three big storms, and I see there's another three coming.
yeah,
Like we're talking 6 meter swells with 30 knot onshore winds.
yeah, I've seen back at in the UK in Newquay and Cornwall and stuff. I've seen that it's been some solid stormy swells. Um, Actually, shout out to Stan Norman because there was an event this weekend called the GB Cup. So it was like kind of England, Wales, Scotland, Channel Islands, and Stan won it today. He done a really cool air in the final. He beat my good friend Pat in the final as well. So shout out Stan for bringing that home.
And
But
where
yeah,
was that? Where was that then?
Pistol Beach.
Was that not onshore in
Yeah,
Haggis, or is it protected?
no, it was pretty stormy. Like it was solid size, but it was onshore and pretty stormy and wild.
Hey, so before, I've got a tendency to forget things that happen anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes after I've spoken about them. It's the onset of Alzheimer's, most likely. So I was talking to Ramsey briefly out in the surf, and it's official that he got the first alternate for next year's
Yeah,
WCT tour. So that's from the horse's mouth. So from that first five comps, if anyone's injured, he's in, which I think nearly any fan in the surfing world will be happy for. I
yeah,
know I am.
yeah. I'm stoked for him. I saw that because they announced that, and I wondered if that's great for Ramsey, but also terrible because it essentially he kind of has to travel the world.
It's not terrible, Matt.
But is he going to get what I mean is like obviously he has to travel the world. He has to go to Hawaii and then to
He
Australia.
doesn't have to go to Hawaii. He wants to go to Hawaii, full stop. He said he was going to be there anyway.
Of course.
He spent his life trying to get on the world tour, and he would have had to do all that if he was on it last year. So now he's just doing it anyway.
Yeah, but he's not. If he doesn't get called up, he doesn't make any money. If that makes sense. That's all I was saying. But
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. But he's still going to get coverage, and he's still going to do stuff for his sponsors. And
yeah, and you look
what's
at
the
it.
chance? What's
I was
the
gonna,
chances that no one's injured?
I was about to say you look at the last couple of years, and you're you know you're seeing people get injured, and that's the reason why Ramsey's in the position he's in is because he got injured. So and Liam O'Brien is the same. Like there's
Carlos Munoz.
yeah, Carlos, yeah. Um, so even like I even saw the other day that Griffin he's had surgery.
Yeah, on his torn labrum.
Yeah, which means he could potentially miss pipe. Like I think it's
Someone
quite
said 2 to 4 months.
yeah,
So he would be. It's not even November yet. I think he'll get away. He's nearly got 3 months.
yeah.
He's only young. He's got the best rehab. I reckon he can do it.
But just things like that. Yeah, so I think that's sick for Ramsey. Stoked that he got that, and I hope without hoping someone gets injured, I hope that he gets the chance to surf.
What I was gonna say to him, but like it was a pretty crowded lineup, and you can't just keep palling up to people and go, "Hey, man!" But it last year the first 5 events got shit waves. Now imagine Ramsey gets a run at a few, and they get really good waves. Huh?
Yeah,
It's a pretty good front half of the tour for him. Like now, like look at that for a young. How good would that be? That a young hit squad of Cole Hushman, Jacob Wilcox, and him.
mm.
Ryan Callan's still on, isn't there?
Yeah. Well,
Like, who
talking.
do you say has got the best fucking backhand on tour out of that four?
Yeah, you.
That's not even counting Medina.
I was going to say, yeah, that's it's pretty goofy heavy, especially where there's a lot of rights coming coming to it. Um,
Imagine like Bell's Beach, 6 foot Ramsey Medina,
I think Conor
first
O'Leary's
round.
Con
Conor O'Leary.
like his
Fuck.
backhand is
Excuse my
mad.
language.
What while we're on that subject, and you mentioned them, I was going to talk about the qualification because obviously we just had Brazil finish it or a couple of weeks, uh,
Yes.
and how is the Americans like? I thought American surfing was pretty like dead in the water, and suddenly this year, men and women, I think it's literally like, I can't help but feel like I literally was nearly in tears with what happened to Jacko Baker, but the American the American front, like the qualification, you know, I think Crosby Colapinto is going to do really well. I'm not 100% sure how Eli Hanneman's going to do, but he's certainly very good.
I throw him under a bus belly. Reckons he doesn't rate him to get through the cut.
Who Eli?
Yep. I'm
I
wondering though. I think he's pretty good at pipe,
Yep.
and he does live there to surf sunset. He's a little tiger though, isn't he? I mean, those sort of waves, sunset, bells, Margarets, don't 100% for me work in his favour.
No,
Portugal could be anyone's game. You know that.
yeah, and then you've also got like, I mean, David Silva. I don't think will make the cut, and I'm happy to say that straight away.
He's got a
Um,
mad backhand too, though, man. A mad backhand.
yeah,
But I'm not calling he'll make it either.
and then Cade Madsen, he's snuck in. he's like they're all solid surfers. They're all
He's a big dude, Kate. He stayed at the house with the young guns a couple of years ago.
yeah,
I think he's a bit of a sleeper. I'm not 100% sold that he can get through those first 5 events. But like,
no.
who else is in there?
So you got so what was it? It was Cole Houshman, Jacob Wilcox,
Sammy Pupo.
Sammy Pupo, Crosby Colapinto, Eli Hanneman, David Silva, Cade Madsen, Federico Moraes is back on tour.
Oh, he's got like apart from pipe where he's not the strongest, the other 4 events all are good for him. All of them.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He's got a hometown event. Well, it's not really his hometown, but he's not far from Peniche. Sunset, he's really strong. Bells, he's really strong. Margaret's, he's really strong.
Yeah, and the other two, Imai Kalani DeVault got back on.
It'd be good to see him light up this time too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and Jake Marshall's back on as well. So another Yank to round off the top 10.
Hey, so how weird is it that the challenge is finished? The
Yep.
CT finished like, a couple of years ago. I can't even remember it. And they don't kick off until January. It's just stupid. I'm telling you, it's not like we're talking 4 months. Like they haven't given me the call up for the CEO, by the way. But if I had a world tour like that, and you'd think I want more coverage than what they're getting. It's too much. People can walk away from it. People can get excited from another sport and forget it because they're trying to get people to stay interested, you would think.
You would think. I also think it gives a perfect opportunity to other people, a bit like the Jeremy Flores event. Could other people come in and do events with non-world tour surfers and stuff, but start to take the attention away and start to kind of try and capitalize on the time where the WSL, they're not going to be overlapping or competing directly with the WSL. You've got like an open slot. You've got everyone who tunes into the WSL would probably tune into your broadcast or what you had to offer if you were able to do it. And I heard on
did you hear about my broadcast?
No.
DB Sleeper Tour.
Yeah. Well, because it used to happen. They used to do specialty events or like events that they would not offer a webcast for, but they would record it all and then they would put it all into like almost like an edit for the event. And I know Quicksilver just released their version of that for Jeremy's event, and it's incredible. And I thought, it triggered in my mind like, could more brands do specialty events like that, record it all, and then release it?
Of course they could and will.
Hopefully,
we're pushing with the Eurosema. We're pushing for try and get something like that for France next year. Maybe an add-on to Quicksilver or something different. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah.
That's how you get your brand to stay alive.
Mm. And when you look at Jeremy's event and you look at the surfers that were in it, that's a more exciting lineup than the World Tour for next year, in my personal opinion. Like, I think other than adding,
I wouldn't go that far, but it was still pretty good.
I just like the lineup of it, the variety of it. Whereas, like, would I rather watch CJ Hobgood than David Silva? Yes, I would. Would I rather watch Clay Marzo over?
I probably wouldn't, but Clay Marzo I probably would.
Yeah,
I mean CJ's good and everything, but let's he's in his 40s and retired.
That's what's cool about
real estate agent now.
But that's what I thought was really cool about it is I got to watch someone who, David Silva is with all respect to him, like
You got something against him, haven't you?
no, not just him. Even like Michael Rodriguez finished 11th in the tour. So
Okay, that's two Brazilians. What are you? You privileged white male. Why don't you
yeah,
say Cade Matson?
or Cade, or even
Sorry,
like
Cade.
even like people like Reef Hazelwood or
They could have
um
invited Chloe Andino.
yeah,
Well,
but
he actually was there, by the way.
in France,
Yes, at the same time.
so was Dane, but Dane didn't surf in it.
Yeah, well, he was there he didn't even know it was on. I heard
Yeah,
it from his mouth as well. Because Bradley was talking, and I probably already mentioned it. I'm a name dropper. Sorry about that. Also, I heard, I was talking to the president, as well, Joe Biden, but he wasn't there to surf either.
yeah, but
Oh, stop. I had something in my mind, I forgot. Because you were talking about Brazilians. What do you think about Italo not being on Billabong? Do you reckon that's because Geordie said he wouldn't pay him nothing?
um, no, I don't think it's because of that. I think it's because of I think it's quite well publicized that he signed with another brand for clothing and they almost like compete, and with the sale of
No,
ABG,
he signed with a surf shop who have got their own clothing.
it's sport
It's
shop, correct?
it is pretty different.
It's
And
yeah, but it's Decathlon, and they pretty much sell loads of brands other than Billabong.
Leo was with Gucci for 5 years.
It's
It'd
not
be
a
the
surf
same
brand.
reason why Neva's Decathlon. Come off it.
But I think with Italo, it was more an excuse of how do they cut a really big wage.
There you go. That's what I'm thinking because of the new structure of
Yeah,
what no one knows.
yeah. Same as it's exactly the same as what Hurley done when Hurley got bought out, and they found reason to try and cut Julian Wilson's contract and found reason why to try and cut Kolohe's, and they bought John out. Um, it's exactly the same as that.
Yeah, because they're about to start selling Billabong toothpaste to
Basically, yeah,
ABG. Huh?
yeah.
So there you go. Italo's off. You reckon that was a breach of contract?
I
I
think
think
so.
I think it's kind of mad because I mean, I know you're not a Italo fan, but I just think Italo is probably one of the most enigmatic, flamboyant,
Yeah,
and outlandish surfers on the planet. Full stop. No matter what he does.
I think I do like him. I just don't like his competition surfing. But I love his surfing. I loved him in the stab in the dark that he done. I just don't like his comp surfing. But what I like when stuff like this happens, I start to try and think like, where would you place him if you're another brand? Who tries and picks him up?
Volcom.
Volcom, O'Neill. Like O'Neill.
I don't know if he really suits Volcom
I don't think he
at
suits
all.
Volcom. He's not raw enough. But I think he really suits someone like O'Neill. Really suits would you put him on Rip Curl because Gabby's on Rip Curl? Would you even want that if you're Rip
I
Curl?
don't think so. I don't think he suits Rip Curl. They've got Gabby. They've got Mick. I think he suited Billabong. I, re- I reckon if Quicksilver signs him, that most probably won't happen, will it?
Unless it's a way of renegotiating, but no, probably not.
Getting him cheaper.
I tried to think like other than Geordie, there's no real prominent male O'Neill athlete on the tour as such. Like they've obviously got
There was
Geordie.
Chloe. They're not going to. There's no way the O'Neill are going to side him because
Mm,
surely Geordie's best mates with the marketing boss.
yeah,
Um, saying that, how many more years has Geordie got?
well, that's the thing, yeah. Because and in his contract, how much of his contract is performance based, because he's obviously not been doing amazingly in any kind of
Well, he hasn't made a
competition.
top five yet, has he?
No.
Well, Atala, I'd put money on making the top five next year.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be stacked again, but definitely,
The tour is actually looking really good. I think it's looking as good as it has for the last 20 years, and there isn't even a tour until another 3 months.
I think it's looking good, and I just hope that they get a year of solid waves to make up for it. Because if it's pumping, then I think the surface in the top five from this year to last year will almost all be different. If they get perfect conditions at every event, then I do think Gabby makes
They're
top
not
five.
going to get they're not going to get perfect
They're
conditions at
not, of
every
course, they're
event.
not. No,
So how about, for example, you can't see Gabby not making it.
no, but I said that last year.
Yeah.
I,
What else in the world is happening apart from that, from the end of the tour, which was quite interesting, the end of the challenges. So there's a new tour thing. What are you being sniffing around on the internet? Did I not just read this morning on John saying that Nathan got Wave of the Year and Surfer of the Year?
yeah, Nathan Florence. Yeah, definitely. Like, as of this morning, last night, he got announced as the Ride of the Year, um, which I think he could have won on about five different waves that he
Was
had.
there anyone even close?
No, I reckon if there was a top five, all five would have been him.
There's no one even close.
And
That's
and
how
he
crazy is that?
and he got Surfer of the Year as well, which again, like you can't argue with at all. He was if the best surfer is the surfer having the most fun, he was by far the best surfer in the world last year, and he was doing it on some absolutely terrifying waves.
Now, how amazing would he have been if he had done that with John and Jack?
Oh, imagine! Could you imagine? Other than that, you said about things that I've been sniffing around. Something that I absolutely love that is back, and I've watched the first two episodes of it. Um, is the stab series called S.U.R.F. Have you copped it?
Yeah, I watched the first two things. I might as well watch everything I can on Stab this year, because I think I'm not gonna subscribe to Premium next year.
Big call.
I think they've compromised themselves in my book with their. Just think they're compromised. I think they're commercially backed journalism.
I think they've changed a lot. I didn't realize.
Reminds me of like the Courier Mail or something, which is completely backed by Rupert Murdoch. I mean, what it's more publicity based journalism.
I think in the last month, I've seen quite a big change in what they've been putting out from America, because this surf series S.U.R.F. is from Australia because Danny Johnson, and I love it. But I completely agree with you. The American side of things, and it does. I wonder if it coincides with the fact that they changed the editor to Michael Ciaramella. But like they put in the last couple of weeks, they've put out an article that's your favorite traction pads, leashes, and stuff. Like, and
Oh,
it was boring. Paul Evans done a really good piece on surf fashion, which was funny, but it was also a bit like, um, this shouldn't be a premium. This isn't really premium journalism. Someone giving their
I thought,
opinions.
yeah, but I thought that was very well written.
It
I
was
like
well
that
written.
bit.
It was funny, but that
Here's one what you were saying, like the editor, uh, someone called out, how come you haven't mentioned why Eli got sacked? This is a bee in my bonnet. And they said, oh, we've heard rumors, but nothing that we can confirm and nothing that we're confident enough to report on. what a load of horse shit. Where
Yeah.
they're confident enough to report on and find out why like Atalo lost his
Yeah.
billboard, something like that. They can find out immediately. But something as widely known from, like, come off it. How many people must know why he got sacked?
Yeah.
Because loose lips don't sink ships. Of course, they're all gossiping and much. Oh, did you see what he did? Did you hear what he did? And they are that close to all these people, and all of a sudden they don't know and they're not confident. But Atalo, within 24 hours, they know exactly why he lost his contract. They know all this stuff about surfboard shapers, who they like, who's not got paid. But this, they just don't even touch. And you know
Yeah.
why? Because they're in the WSL's pocket, and they're all scared of losing their job from Dirk Ziff. So it just means they're. Is it called a lucky?
I think it's like a
Are you a lucky if you're in someone's pocket?
something like that. It's definitely there's a word for it that's slipping my mind right now, but it's definitely
Soft
re
cock. Oh,
soft,
excuse me.
but it's
Not
also,
allowed to
of
say that on. Not allowed to
course you
say
are.
that on. Oh,
And
thank you.
it's also really, really obvious though. Like you can see straight through it. I think Michael Ceramella, who's now their editor in chief or whatever, done an interview with Jesse Miley Dyer, and like he went really soft in it, and then they tried to speak about why he was like so gentle with his questioning, saying, "Oh yeah, well if we burn our bridges with the WSL, we can't report on things, blah blah blah." And it's like, well, cool, but if everything you're going to be reporting on is just basically another avenue for a press release, then you might as well be the WSL because they're going to say the same things.
Exactly, exactly. What you want from journalism is integrity, huh?
You
And the
like I want
truth.
them,
And
yeah,
the truth.
piss
Otherwise,
the
what are
WSL
we
off.
left with? What are we left
I,
with?
I'd much rather them come out and say, "Look, we tried to interview my Jessie Maladira. These are the questions we asked. She got angry, stormed off, and now we can't get any other interviews with the WSL." I'd be like, "Good, like I back this."
Well, look,
Like,
we've mentioned it already. The rumors are that it was from sexual harassment.
yeah,
This not might not be the reason. It could have been as well that when he slagged off, he didn't really slag everyone. He just backed his own judges against the three Brazilians that had sook after the surf ranch.
yeah,
And I literally, in that case, I kind of agreed with him. You have to support your team, which is what he did. He supported his team and his
yeah.
the professional performance of the judges against three individuals that didn't win their heats.
I completely agree.
Now, the head of honchos of that might have said, "Oh no, look, Gabby's got 11 million followers," uh, and then they've gone, "Oh, he's compromised us against Gabby's fans. Let's get rid of him." And maybe then felt someone up and said, and then they use that as an excuse.
Maybe,
You know what
but
I mean? But
I
this is
completely.
all conjecture.
Can you imagine if you were working and in your job you
I
you
don't believe
stopped,
in work.
but yeah, if you were in your job and you had employees or you had teammates and you went and you done everything by the book, you done everything you was meant to, but someone who had 11 million Instagram followers came into your work and went, "No, you shouldn't do it like that. You should do it like this." You stuck to your guns and said, "Look, I'm sorry, but this is the way we do it. This is how it's done. We believe this is right." And then your boss came over your head and went, "Oh, you're fired because this guy's got 11 million followers and you should have done what he said." Like that doesn't happen. So when he backed himself, I kind of agreed with him. I was like, "Well, you're backing your judges. If he'd have
Of
thrown his
course.
judges, imagine if he'd have thrown his judges under the bus and gone, "No, they got that wrong. They don't know anything they don't know what they're talking about."
Yeah.
But
But I
also,
think you're wrong. I think that sort of stuff does happen, man. Like if a coach compromises,
yeah,
like what's his name? Messi. You know how
yeah,
many
yeah,
followers he's got? He's the number one followed person on Instagram. Huh? So imagine if Messi comes into a team and then something happens and Messi hates the coach, huh? And you're the president of the club. Who are you going to get rid of, Messi or the coach?
Well, but then it sets a bad precedent. And usually in football, it's generally the player will go. But what's really funny about this whole story is now the head judge has stepped down and been replaced. So
Yes, he's replaced
yeah,
Brazilian guy.
yeah, that's what I mean. Pratamo stepped down and been replaced. So did he realize that he did make mistakes and got to the end of the season and was like, I've had enough of all the criticism, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I would have had enough of the criticism as well if the whole world's telling you they hate you all the time. What a
Yeah,
horrible
true.
job! What a horrible job. You rather go and like mow lawns.
You would. And
Depends on the pay,
he's sitting on
obviously.
a pretty, I'm pretty sure he'd be sitting on a pretty pocket full of money after doing head judge for a
Well,
while.
if at least he lives down in Byron Bay, if he was able to buy his house and everything, all he's got to do as an Australian is just go and live west, like inland in the desert for like 4 months of the year, Airbnb his house out, and he's got 2 years' salary.
Yeah, yeah. And loads of hipsters.
The world is Airbnb.
It is Airbnb's mad. Okay, so um well that's our update on the world. Check out the Jeremy Flores thing that's on YouTube. Check out Stab Surfing. Um, check out the next episode where Darren's going to be speaking to someone really special, and we'll be back
I'm
surfing.
I'm I'm not going to do a doing it tonight. I want to do a quick swell wrap. Maybe you saw a couple of pictures I sent you through, Matty. We had a pretty good day like a week ago. It was like a needle in a haystack in between a couple of storms.
Yes, and you were out doing what you normally do at your beloved Lenore.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. 6 to 15 foot
Yeah,
and offshore all day.
yeah, it looked pretty like it looked clean as. I mean, it looked big. Some of the photos you sent me, um, even you were happy with, which says quite a lot about them.
It did drop. It did drop in the afternoon, and in the morning there was only a few guys out, and tide was high. It was when it was biggest, and I did a bit of family shopping and played basketball with Marlo, waiting for the afternoon low tide, and then by the time that was just the one anticlimax. By the time the low tide kind of got lower enough, is when it breaks the best. The swell kind of really slowed down. I saw
Yeah,
Fipsy like right before I came in, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I haven't got a wave in an hour." And he's like, "Yeah, I've been out here in an hour and I haven't seen you catch one." And we quickly spoke, and then I got one not long. I come in like one, like come in and got had a drink of water, had a couple of muesli bars, and I swapped boards with Rob Vaughan, my mate, because I was on an 8-9, and when I was out there, it was really stiff offshore, so I was still hard to catch with that. And he had this 9-6 from Eric Ribier, who was on the tour once and was heavy and looked good. And I said, "Oh, can I swap boards with you?" And that actually gave me a lease of life for an extra 2 hours, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Look
But the
good.
next day, man, I'm telling you, like I guess even our listeners, whether it's 2 foot or 10 foot, if you're doing 5 hours in the water, the next day you're gonna feel it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where like we've had people about like on before like pros and stuff have said it to us, and we've even said it. As much as you don't want to do it, that's where stretching before and after really comes into play because it does help the next day and it helps onwards and makes you surf longer and avoid injuries and stuff, especially in the bigger stuff when
I'm
you,
I'm stretching before I go to sleep at the moment, religiously, and obviously lots of water,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
and not doing other training, which I don't think helps you. when you're in surf mode.
Yeah, I agree. Um, Although, if you're going to do anything, go to Lake Como because the amount of steps that are in there, like the next day, it feels like you've done about 150 squats. Your quads, your bum, everywhere just aches.
So
Uh,
where is Lake Como? I saw you were there. Is that Italy or Switzerland?
that's Italy. Yes, it's North Italy, so it's right on the Switzerland border. Um, Beautiful place. Like there's absolutely no surf, but really, really cool place. Um,
Breathtaking is what me and a mate used to say for places without surf. Breathtaking.
yeah, it Switzerland was breathtaking. Switzerland, like, is
Took your
it,
breath away.
yeah. The way I described Switzerland to my mate last night was it's like having a computer background, like the pictures you see on the background of your computer. It's like wherever you look, it looks like that in a different way. It is incredible. Lake Como is amazing, but Switzerland blew my mind of how beautiful
Next
it is.
level. And now they've got a wave pool. I'm sick of wave pools. I tell you, I'm sick of fucking people putting out little wave pool posts and all that sort of stuff. Fucking wave pools. Anyway, but like, come on.
Uh, Wave pools,
You can't get to real waves. I understand it.
yeah.
Or if
What
you
gets
live
me
next
is
to a wave pool.
what gets me is people surfing wave pools when they're when I know it's pumping an hour away, or that they've driven actually further than they'd need to drive to get to a good wave to get to a wave pool. Like,
But you know what? It's because surfing just sucks as well. Like you can go out and okay. Here's what I wanted to talk about before, and I lost track. Was like, for example, I surfed anchor points, like one of the most famous right hand point breaks in the world, and I've got 11-year-old kids giving me the stink eye and just paddling past. Yeah, don't go on the inside and take away. And you can't do anything because like they're local kids and everything. And briefly in your mind, you think, how can you not respect me because I'm a 52-year-old man or whatever? Until you look at it the other side and think, a couple of these young local kids, especially here in Morocco, um, are from an inferior economic background to anyone in the traveling world.
yeah,
Like that they can't afford to go anywhere. That's their spot. And briefly in their day or their week when they're out in the water, they've got something that can make them proud and give them a sense of being. And why should you like take that away from them? It's just as simple as that. If you're traveling somewhere, you just got to put up with it or don't travel. It
yeah,
sucks. I'm telling you, fuck, it sucks. But like, stay at home if you can't handle it.
yeah, 100%. It's like I kind of learned that in France. Is I didn't really ever have the respect thing, but even still, it's like having to wait for waves or having to. I was choosing to go to lesser waves because of crowds and stuff, and you have to kind of definitely opens your mind to as well. Like when you're traveling, you might be able to surf for 5 hours, but that might be that 1 hour that kid can surf that day because he's had to go and help his
Of
family.
course.
Um,
Yep.
like you had it in France when I was in France and was like I could surf whatever time of the day I wanted, and you was like I need to fit in a 40-minute surf here because I've got clients, I've got things and this and that. Um, it's easy to forget it when you're on the other side, but it's definitely something that
It's so easy to forget. It's so
yeah,
easy to get down on yourself. It's so easy to get down on the place.
mm,
All
yeah,
you got to do is be humbled, and at at the basis, that's why people should travel, is to learn other cultures, to take yourself out of your comfort zone, obviously enjoy the pleasures of a certain place. But like on the drive from where I'm staying to the surf spot, I go past. They've had a tourism boom here, and it's like you're driving through Miami. And there was golf greens, and I saw this old American couple walking across the road very well dressed with their little golf carts and everything. And I thought, that's what I don't necessarily like, seeing that part of travel where people will travel, but in fact, they're only traveling to somewhere where it's like where they're from.
Yeah, yeah. Rather than opening your mind up to how things work in a different part of the world, and how just because it's what you're used to doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. But like, you can learn from other cultures rather than just trying to replicate your culture somewhere else.
Being as polite as you can to the people that
Yeah,
live there. There's this guy at this little cafe in front of this other little beach that it's kind of a beach reef that I've been surfing, and I've been going and getting my long black, and it's $1.
yeah,
And then the guy minds my keys when I go for a surf. He's the nicest guy, and I'm telling you, like, all you got to do is be super friendly to him. And I said to him, "Look, if you mind my keys, don't worry. I'm coming back here for my lunch." He said, "No, no, don't worry about that." But I still come back and have lunch there anyway because it's just a return sign of respect.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that's a wrap before we ramble on too much. But do learn, do respect people. Don't forget that people have things going on in their life, and if an 11-year-old paddles up your inside, just you got to suck it up.
Unless it's your son, and then then you can touch him up a bit
Yeah, then you
verbally,
can fade him.
verbally.
Yeah.
Thanks
Right.
for
Well,
listening, listeners, and
cheers.
we're signing off.
We'll see you soon.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.